This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good afternoon and welcome to the Clear Lines training session, the twice weekly training session. I am your host, Kipp Cohen. It is Tuesday, the 29th of January, 2019. We run these sessions every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 o'clock Eastern. For those of you that are subscribers to the Clearline software, or those of you that want to learn about Clearlines running on the Medved Trader platform. This session is recorded and will be posted to our YouTube page later today. You can get to that recording by going to equity-alerts.com. And then up at the right upper corner of the page, near the corner where we have for more info, you'll see a YouTube link. If you click that, it will take you to our YouTube page where all of these sessions are stored. So today, what I wanted to go through, kind of wanted to just kind of back it up a little bit and go into the basics of using Medved and really just start with building a layout, a custom layout. So a couple things. First thing I want to do is now, if you are just using Medved by itself and you don't have clear lines, when you start Medved, you're going to see a layout that looks something like this. This is Medved's preset dashboard, basically, a preset layout that starts up for new users of their platform. So you've got your watch lists, portfolio in the upper left corner, you've got news on the bottom left corner, you've got a couple charts in the middle, a intraday at the top and a historical at the bottom. You've got some level 2 quotes, some raw data, tick data, and then the dashboard. So from here, if you click under File, and you can do that from either the dashboard or from one of the watch lists, either one of those will give you that File button from a portfolio, basically, or watch list, or the dashboard. You can access the File button. And then you can go back to the layout library. So within the layout library, they have some of their own pre-built layouts. And then if you are a subscriber to Clearlines, and only Clearline subscribers will actually be able to see this, but there are 2 pre-built Clearlines layouts, an active trading one and a swing position. I built these layouts basically to give a somewhat similar look and feel, at least, to WiseTrade, to give you the 8 time frames. I mean, it's not the same, but so let's just start with the swing position layout. And if I double click on that, it's going to load it and it's going to fit it to my computer. And that's one of the great things I really like about the Medved system, is that when you open a new layout, from the layout library, it is supposed to fit based on your screen resolution. Now, everybody uses a different size monitor and a different resolution. So the way yours fits might be a little different than the way mine looks and fits, okay? Which means you may have to kind of play around with adjusting sizes of things, you know, adjusting column heights and widths, and you're going to have to play with it to get it to fit best for your screen. If you're using a smaller monitor or one with a low res where things are bigger, you're going to have less space to work with. I encourage you, if you're going to use this platform, to run it on a multi-monitor system. I run it on a 4-monitor system. It fills up one, and then one of my layouts fills up a half, or really about a little over a quarter of a second one. About 1 1/3 monitors is what I utilize. But once you kind of have it laid out the way you like it, you have it set up, you've adjusted the columns, you know, the chart sizes, and everything kind of looks the way you want it. Then what you'll want to do is go up to the top and hit File, Save Layout, and you're going to want to name that layout. And I would just call it my swing position layout, okay? Or whatever you want to call it, okay? You could call it my old, you know, here, let's just name it. My swing and position layout. Okay. So we're saving this new layout right now. Now, you are going to see some differences because, like right now, I have a quick access toolbar below the ribbon. I've added some items to it. So yours is going to come with a lot less on the chart. And those are things you can add in, which if anybody wants me to show, I'll be happy to do that. But this is one of the starting layouts that I came up with. Again, I came up with this one to kind of give the old wise traders the feel of wise trade, because you have your long-term right here, your monthly, your mid-term weekly, and your short-term daily. So you can kind of scroll across and you can look at the trend, long, mid, and short. And then you have your 130 minute, your 60 minute on the bottom right, 30, 10, and 2. There are multiple ways to figure out what time frame you're on, depending on several factors. Up at the top of the chart should tell you, so you'll see it says 50 bars 130 minute, 50 bars 1 day, 50 bars 1 week, and so forth. All right. Also, if you go to the main from any chart and go down to frequency, that will tell you what time frame you're on. So we're on a 10 minute. So we can see it up at the top here. We can see it right here. And then I've actually right clicked and added the frequency to my quick access toolbar. So it's a drop down from here. So I don't have to go to main to get to it. And I also will see it right there. And then if you've activated this little timer right here, which is done through going to View, Options, it's called Candle Countdown. If you've added that feature to your chart, if you've added the candle countdown, you're going to see this little clock. And what it's going to tell you is how much time is left in that interval and what time frame you're on. So I'm on a 10 minute and there's 9 minutes and 31 seconds left. Or I'm on a 2 minute and there's 1 minute and 27 seconds left. Right? 130 minute, there's 49, which is kind of cool. Now the historical charts, the long, mid, and short, don't give you that option. You can't, there's not a candle countdown for those. Only for the intraday charts. That's why you don't see those on the long, mid, and short. And you can move those around wherever you want them. So the question is, can you use that layout for Forex? Yeah, you can use any of these layouts for Forex as long as you have the quotes. So like I have some symbols in mind, but they don't load that great. I mean, I get the daily chart. If I had, oh, there we go. So I get my quotes from TD Ameritrade, and I get some of that and not all of it. But you can see the day, week, and month on the euro dollar shows up. But yeah, like if I had interactive brokers, I could use this layout and just load the Forex symbols in, and then I would be able to see the charts of the Forex on all those different time frames. So yes. Um, all right, so you have your different time frames. You can adjust those to whatever you want. If you don't like the preset time frames like we have here, you can adjust them. And you can pick whatever you want. If you prefer an 8-minute instead of a 10-minute, you just go to the custom or go to main frequency custom, and you can change it to an 8-minute if that's your preference. If you want a 20-minute or whatever other time frame you want, you can switch those yourself. The other thing that some of you may know, some of you may not know, that you can also go to intra-minute. So if you want a half minute, you can go to main frequency custom and put 0.5. 0.5 would be a half minute. So now we have a 30-second chart for Apple, or if you want a 15-second chart, that would be a quarter minute, right? It's probably a little noisy going down to that time frame, but you can do that. So once you have your base layout, everything you like, you have your indexes set up the way you like it. You set up your indexes by selecting index and then go to select indexes and picking. I just leave the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the VIX up. I don't have anything else, but depending on your broker will dictate what indexes you have access to. Okay, so different brokers give you access to different index quotes, and that will show up here under the indexes in the upper left corner when you select your broker. So I'm using TD Ameritrade, and so I get the quotes from them for my indexes. But again, once you have your kind of your base layout done, and you've got your hold on one second. You've got your index window, index portfolio, and your watch list the way you like it. Then you can start creating different layouts. Okay, it's much easier to do it from if you start from one layout that you already like. It's much easier from that layout to create a new one. And you can kind of get however creative you want. So like I personally, I don't feel like you really need more than one historical chart. Okay, because I can easily just scroll through the long, mid, and short, right? Day, week, month. If I want to see the trend of a stock, I don't need to constantly look at those because that's just taking up valuable real estate. So I can do away with that. All right, so now, or if I want to create, let's say I want to be able to watch 4 stocks at once, okay? 4 stocks at once, each of them showing a historical and a intraday, okay? So we're going to use a historical and an intraday, all right? A historical in an intraday. So let's think about this. I'm going to have to do some adjusting sizes. Let me think about this. So let's get rid of, hold on, I got to think about this. So we're going to have, we'll just use a 3 minute, 3 minute, 3 minute, 3 minute, and we're going to link. Hold on. Okay, so now I need 3 more historical charts to fill in these empty spots. So I go to main, new chart, same as this. So that's going to go right here. Okay, that is a weekly, and these have to match up. Okay, and this needs to be green because these two are going to match up. Now I need another chart just like this one, or I can duplicate this one, template, main, new chart, same as this. We're going to move that down here. Now we want this one to be the same as this, so that's red. And I'm going to show you why here in just a second, because you're probably wondering what the heck is Kipp doing. Okay, and then the last one is going to be, we need 1 more of these. So we're basically just copying that chart. Okay, and these two need to be the same. So what'll happen is if I click Amazon up here, so these 2 charts, see they have blue push pins, are tied to this blue push pin here. These 2 are green, so they're independent. So if I type in MMM for 3M, then these 2 are going to be matching. And if I want these, well, I've got Apple down here, so I'll leave Apple down there. And then let's say I want to look at Facebook. Okay, so what I've got is I've got a historical chart, which would be a day, week, or month, and I have an intraday chart, which can be any minute time frame that I need of 4 different stocks. So this is the way, if I want to watch 4 different stocks at once, I can do that. The key is that you need to make sure that each grouping of 2 has the same push pin that matches. Okay, they need to be linked. I mean, you could have them all unlinked, but you're going to have to type in every single box. All right, only one of those is tied to this list up here at the top, and that's this one right here. It's tied to, whenever I click up in this window, we'll change it up here. All the others I have to manually type. If I put this as blue, it's gonna end up being the same as this one over here, Google. Does that make sense? So in essence, if you want to be able to monitor 4 stocks simultaneously, that's how you would do it. Now, if you if you didn't care about having the day, week, and month, and you just wanted minute charts, you could also put in 8 different minute charts for 8 different stocks to be able to watch 8 minutes simultaneously. I think it can become overload if you start doing that. I mean, if you have like multiple monitors and you got things spread out, okay, that it makes sense. You know, if you're in 4 or 5 trades at one time, it makes sense. It might be wiser to, rather than have historical and a minute, have 2 different minute time frames. So then what I could do is just duplicate this chart, move it into this spot, and then I can select whichever time frame. So if I want a 10-minute, so then I have a 10 and a 3, or if I want a 10 and a 1, or if I like a 1 and a 3, actually 1 and a 3, then I can watch a 1 and a 3 of Google. And I could do the same thing over here. I can get rid of the long term. We'll move that over here. We'll duplicate. Same as this. Slide that puppy in there, and then we make that a 1. So now I have a 1 and a 3 of 3M. Let's do the same here. Let's move this over to this spot. Let's duplicate it. Didn't quite duplicate it the right way. And 1 minute. And then we'll do the same thing here. Apple. New chart. Same. Oh, maybe I did it wrong. Same as this chart. There we go. Maybe I did the other. All right. So now I have 4 stocks that I can monitor simultaneously and on 2 different intraday time frames. Facebook and 3M have different colored push pins. This is green and this is cyan. Here, we'll go. Maybe it'll be easier if I pick black. But it was cyan. They weren't both green. Yeah, each grouping of 2 is the same: blue, green, black, and red. But you can change those however you want. And then once you've kind of got that layout the way you like it, so if I'm comfortable with this layout, then again I can go back up to File, Save Layout. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call this my 4 stocks on 8 charts. I mean, whatever, you know, you got to come up with names. So now I have 4 stocks on 8 charts. But again, remember, only the top left grouping, these 2 are going to be you're going to be able to click up in your watch list to change it, because that's tied based on the push pins right here, blue and blue. Now I could switch this one to green, and then guess what? Now it's tied into that one. Or if I want to switch it to red, I can switch it to red, and now it's tied to that one. All right. So you can switch it up on your watch list to whichever grouping you want it to be. Or if I open another one, okay, so let's get a little more crazy. If I decide, okay, I want to see another watch list, I can go to the dashboard, open a portfolio, and if I want to go to my NASDAQ 100, I can click that. Now this is laid out differently, okay? This is a different style layout. This is called a standard grid. I can switch that if I want. I can do the tile simple too, or I can go back to the other layout. However, you know, it's personal preference how you view things. The neat thing about this is I can sort columns by, gains and losses, percentage, and whatnot. So, if I want to see the biggest loser on the NASDAQ 100, NVIDIA, the biggest percentage loser on the NASDAQ, I guess, is NVIDIA. So notice my push pin when I go over NVIDIA is blue, so I can click right here, and now that loads onto this chart. Now, obviously, due to, for space constriction, I could tighten this up a little bit. I could move this off to one of my other monitors, or, I could slide it in and remove a couple charts. If I'd rather have it down here and have it tied into these two charts, I could do that as well. And then I can close down these windows. So to get crazy, so we could do this. And then we can tie this to these two. The reason I'm showing you this, guys, is I'm just showing you the functionality of the platform. These are the kinds of things you can do. So now I have my two windows that are tied here to the NASDAQ, my 100 list. I have this list, which is tied to my popper dropper watch list. And then I have this third one up here, which is tied to nothing, whatever I type in the window. So the only way I can access symbols here would be either typing in the window or selecting, matching one of these two. I can switch the green switch from red to green, and now whatever I click here will open up there. Just remember, whatever push pins match up will match. Now, here's something real important to remember, okay? This is critically important. If you're going to look at multiple charts on multiple time frames, you need to make sure if you're trading out of more than one account, you need to make sure that your trading account is tied to the right chart, because you can have different charts tied to different trading accounts as well. If you're trading out of multiple accounts, it can get really confusing. Make sure you know which account you're trading out of, because that can really mess you up if you're not careful. Again, I like to keep it simple, so I don't want to have a lot of, I start my day out with two charts, an intraday and a historical, and then I go to my popper dropper layout that gives me the ability to watch two stocks at once, and I have 3 different time frames, a 1 minute, a 3 minute, and a 15 minute. But that's what works for me. And just because I utilize something that I like doesn't mean you have to use it. I think it's important that you take the time to figure out what layouts are going to be best for you. You have to kind of play with it and get comfortable to determine that. And then, of course, if I want to see if I want to see the price charts, I can uncheck the hide primary or you can go to go to view options, uncheck hide primary if you want to use candlesticks. Some of y'all don't have any desire, and that's fine. But literally, you could spend hours upon hours creating different layouts, and it can definitely get monotonous. Looks like the market's running. At least some stocks are running up right now. All right, so if I don't want to use this and I just want to go to, let's create another layout. Let's get funky again. Oh, here, let's do this. Let's do a triple layout. Three time frames, 2 stocks. So top row will be blue, bottom row will be red, and we'll use a 1, 3, and a 15. 1, 3, and 15. And then we have to kind of, here's where it gets fun. You're going to have to start stretching. I sometimes feel like I need like a little tape measure to like match them up properly, you know, to see if they're how close they are. I wish there was a way to get them all like fit to size. And there might be, and I just don't know it. I mean, I literally here that, let's see, hold on, let's do it in centimeters. 17. Oh, that's pretty good. 17 and a half. 17. That's about as close as you're going to get. I got him pretty close. So now my top one, again, the top grouping is tied into this. So I've got 3 different time frames I'm watching on the top. Oh, hold on. And 1, 3, and 5, and a 1, 3, and 5 on the bottom. Oh, I'm sorry, 1, 3, and 15. If I want to see back a little more in time, I can switch periods from 50 to 100. That'll let me see a little more of the the last day or last several days, which I think can come in handy in certain circumstances. So yeah, I think it's when you go to bigger charts, like when you're running larger boxes, it's easier to see. It's okay to look at it at 100 bars versus 50. But again, we were pretty trained at 50 bars on WiseTrade because that was the limitation. On the Medved platform, we don't have that limitation. We can go back, you want to go 200 bars? Do you want to go 10 days? I mean, it does become kind of overkill at some point, but that is something that you can do. You can view much further back, or if you just want to scroll backwards from any chart, you can scroll back in time. This is I mean, how nice on a 3-minute to go back, way back. That's all the way back to October 31st on a 3-minute. So I can see, how this thing performed over the last several months. So let's talk about, so how do I view a historical chart from here? If I want to look at Facebook real quick and I just want to know, well, what's the long, mid, and short look like, right? It's real easy. From any Facebook chart, any one of these 3 charts, you can right click. All right. Historical charts for Facebook. Boom. All right. That's a day. That's a week. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. There's our weekly. There's our monthly. So if I just need that quick glance, I can just do that from any one of the intraday charts. If I don't necessarily feel like I need to have a historical chart open, I can always just go to it quickly. That's what I do. That's the when I want to look at a historical chart real quick from my popper dropper layout, I just right click. So now that all right, so I'm comfortable with this layout. Let's add some stuff to it because we really don't have any indicators right now besides the clear lines, right? We started with a fresh layout and it only comes with volume and clear lines. So we need to build our layout however we like it personally. Again, I'm not going to dictate what's best for you. You have to dictate it. I like to use daily pivots. So we're going to put in pivot points. You're going to want to make sure it's set to daily. You're going to want to make sure you've got show line labels, show line prices, and you want to make sure you've got pivot resistance 1 through 4 checked and support 1 through 4. If that's the way you like it, set it as your default and then click OK. So now we've got daily pivots on this chart. Now, if I want to add it to my other charts, if I want to see it on the other, I can go to, hold on, indicators. No, hold on. I got to remember how to do this. Hold on, view, no, templates. Sync open charts, sync indicators. So now see how it did that? It moved so I only added it to one chart. I only added it to this top left chart. But when I went to templates, sync charts, and then I clicked synced indicators, it carries it across the board. Okay. So now I've got daily pivots on my 1s, 3s, and 15s. Now, I like the VWAP, right? The volume weighted average price, but I don't want that on every chart. I just like it on my 3-minute chart. And it's the same value whether I'm on the 1, 3, or 15. I just like to see it on my 3. So from here, I can either go to main and indicators, or I can right click and go to add edit indicators, and I can add VWAP, okay? If I want a little thicker line, I can thick it up to number 2. We'll make that the default, click OK. So there's my volume weighted average price line. Actually, I'm gonna adjust it down, whoops, to a 1. 2 is a little thicker than I want. Okay, there you go. So there's my volume weighted average price. And I want it on this one also because it's also a 3-minute. So I go down to volume weighted average price. Again, we go to a number 1. And so I've got volume weighted average price on my 3-minute. I don't want to carry this across the other charts. I only wanted it on that chart. And then I also like on my 1-minute, I like parabolic stop and reverse, or PSAR, or as I call it, parabolic support and resistance, but it's stop and reverse. So again, right click, add edit indicators, go down to parabolic support and resistance, or stop and reverse. I'm not going to change anything on this one. I'm going to leave it as is. So now we got our little PSAR dots. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Again, this is all personal preference. If you like parabolic stop and reverse, then go for it. Hold on, let me see what that looks like. Whoops. There you go, a little thicker. 0 versus a 1. I think I'll leave it at 0. Okay. And then, so now I've got my layouts the way I like it. I need to make sure I save my layout. So we called this one, this is a new one. This is 3 charts, whoops. 3 charts with 2 stocks. Now, as you add and remove features to your quick access toolbar, that's gonna go across any chart on any layout. Okay, so it's considered a universal feature, I guess. That's when you go to your dashboard and go to settings. These settings are universal. Right here, and these that you build on your quick access toolbar are also universal. Okay, so anytime you open a new chart, so like if I go up to main and I click new chart and I click same as this chart, it's going to have these same features on it. Or even if I go to main, new chart, my default, whatever, can't remember what my default is. It's a 10-minute. All right, it's not linked to anything right now, so that's why nothing loaded. And it doesn't have any of my indicators in it, so that's my default chart. All right, so the difference is same as, which will be same as whatever you just duplicate, or default, whatever you created or made your default. So my default is a 10-minute. But again, all of this information on the quick access toolbar, all of this information is going to be universal as you add it and build it. Now, if you don't want to utilize any of these buttons, or you want to save space and not see them, you can hide them. You can click that button right there. But I need to access them sometimes, some of the tools. So I think it's important to leave that up. But if you're short on space, you can minimize it and then reopen it. All right. Any questions right now so far? Any questions? Any questions about building layouts, saving layouts? Let's talk about something else related to layouts. And I think this is important. So, especially for you newbies, let's say you accidentally shut down a window. You close down that window, or you close down your portfolio by accident, because you can, accidentally do that. There's a couple ways you can bring those back. All right. You can always go in, the easiest is go to File, Load Layout, and then find that specific layout, which is the 3 charts with 2 stocks, double click it, and boom. There it is. You recovered that layout. As long as you've saved it once you created it. You have to save it. Okay. The other way is if I accidentally shut down my portfolio, okay, I can go to the dashboard and I can go to open a portfolio, and I just have to select that one that I was using, popper, dropper, watch list, and that'll come back. Now, if I accidentally shut down this chart, I have the only way I can bring it back is either to reload the layout or I can go to main, new chart, same as this one, slide it into that spot, and then I have to save it as a 3-minute, okay? Because that's what it was. It was a 3-minute. But notice the problem. Guess what? It's the same as this chart, so it has the parabolic stop and reverse. So I wouldn't do it this way. I would go back and just reload the layout so you get back the correct layout that you had. I wouldn't do it the other way. The other way is probably not the best way. Bob sent me a message. He said, I can't get my ribbon back. Okay, so your ribbon, there is a setting called right here, it says show above ribbon. So is your ribbon up at the top? If your ribbon's up at the top, you're going to have to find, I'm going to blow up this one window so you can see everything, okay? But at the furthest right side, you should have a button that has a drop down, and it should allow you to show below the ribbon to bring it back down to the bottom here. It's going to be preset above up here or show below the ribbon. Now, you might have accidentally hit, hold on, let me think about this. Show hide ribbon? No. Oh, yeah. Did you hide that? If you hit that button, show hide ribbon, that's the one you have to get it to come back. Show F, or hit a F11 on your keyboard. It's a hotkey. You can do it that way too. Is that what you're referring to, Bob? Hopefully that's what you were looking for. Same as up here. See, if I click that, that's what hides this ribbon. This is considered a ribbon right here. So I always want to see this ribbon because this is how I get into the file button. And then this one, I usually hide it because I don't need it. So I hide this ribbon and I show this ribbon. And you can see it's highlighted here and it's not highlighted here. See? I don't know if you can see that, but it highlights it when you're on it, when you have it selected. Hold on, Bob sent me a message. I can't get my portfolio on top. Go down and see if you have it down on the bottom and maybe it's hidden behind something. Or maybe I need to help you. Maybe I need to log in and help you out. Ribbon on top. Yeah, I'll give you a call afterwards. Does the distance of the PSAR lines away from the red and green lines indicate a magnitude of the move or anything important? No, because, so remember, the red and green lines are based on buying and selling momentum, not on price. So you know what? I'm not even really sure if there's a correlation to the distance of the PSAR dots, if there's a meaning, because I'm not as that fluent in them with knowing. I just know when they're above or below, is the sign of a reversal once they've shifted. I don't know if there's a variance based on the distance. There wouldn't be with the red and green lines. It's really useful, I think, in just trying to keep you in a little bit longer is the way I look at it. If something's trending one way or the other, and it's you can usually see these pretty nice moves. You can see it in the obviously in the red and green lines, but also this kind of adds to the continuation of that or gives you additional confirmation. It's a confirmation is the way I look at it. Confirms. Because you'll notice usually you'll get a cross first and then the PSAR comes in behind it. So the PSAR is kind of confirming our crosses. My guess is that I need to see something that's got some longer moves to it today. Let me see if I can find find a bigger time. All right, here's a good one. So see how HCA has been running up. So here's that 1 minute. It stayed underneath most of that 1 minute. If I put it on a 3 minute, I bet it's very similar. It probably stayed. It's just something that could help you stick with a move a little longer. Yeah, so this move right here that started at 1409. So that started right here. So on the 3 minute, notice that the dots stayed underneath. It followed it. And obviously the red and green lines stayed up, and the green arrows, you got additional confirmation arrows. That was a pretty solid trend. And you could even put it on a 15 if you. I just like that it kind of tends to confirm a lot of the moves. Yeah, look at that. It stayed underneath all day long on the 15. So it could have kept you from getting shook out, or on the 5 minute. So interestingly, this morning it was up above early on, and then it shifted. That could have been confusing. There you go, 10 minute. That stayed underneath all day. You just have to kind of play with it and then figure out what worked. Well, then you had the volume weighted price that it kind of never drifted back down towards it. It's been pushing above the volume weighted average price. Now, if I reload this layout, it's going to take those away because I didn't save it. All right. So remember, indicators, and when you add and remove indicators, that you will have to resave the layout if you want to keep them. All right, but when you make changes to the actual the features of the chart, those will stay. Chart features, you know, the shortcuts will stay, but any indicators or changes on the chart, you need to resave it if you want. You need to resave that layout, or they'll go away once you reload it, if you ever have to reload it. Now, if I just shut down right now, like if I add, let's add it back on here, parabolic. If I add parabolic stop and reverse on that chart and I add it here, all right, I'm not going to put it on the 15, but I've added it to the 3-minute. Now, if I restart my Medved, they should still be there, because the way Medved works is it brings back whatever layout you last utilized. Even though that was not a, why is mine not restarting? Did I just exit and not restart? I think I just exited. You understand what I'm saying? There's a difference. Reloading a saved layout, okay, will load up whatever was the last one you saved. But opening and closing whatever the last one you used, when you open, it'll bring back that last one. So you'll notice I still have the parabolic stop and reverse on the 3-minute. But if I go back and reload this, I'm not going to have it unless I save it. Now, if I save it and replace that layout, now it'll have that PSAR saved permanently. Does that make sense? All right, we're just about out of time. Any more questions? Any more questions? Nope. All right. How do you pick stocks to look at? How do you pick stocks? How do you load them, or how do I pick? I mean, I pick stocks by looking at biggest movers, typically big moving stocks, high volatility. I use a scanning tool through one of my other brokers. So I look for the biggest gainers and losers. But yeah, I pick them. I pick the stocks. Like this list that you see up here, I change out this list every morning. Well, I change out. So I do research every day. And so the grouping that's highlighted in blue, those are the stocks that I watch each day. Those are the biggest pre-market gainers and losers. And then I add them to my watch list every day. I switch them out each day. So tomorrow I'll have a whole nother grouping in the middle here. So my layout has the futures on the top row, and then I have mainly the FANG stocks. I have Apple, Amazon, BABA, Facebook, Google, Netflix, Nvidia, and Tesla. And then everything below that, these are all watch list. And then I have a handful of these stocks, Momo through the end, are additional stocks that I like to watch each day. But yeah, I do research every morning, and that's for equity-alerts.com. So just to clarify something, hold on. Let me. So I'm a partner in equity-alerts.com with Jim Chanel and Lindsay Perry, and that is a alert service and daily webinar. So we're looking for trades throughout the day. And then I also have Clear Trading Systems, which is a separate company, and I have two different partners in that business. I have a programmer and a developer of a strategy developer in that business, and we have clear lines. So we market the clear lines through Equity Alerts. And so you can subscribe to either Equity Alerts by themselves or Clear Lines by themselves, or you can subscribe to a combination of Clear Lines and Equity Alerts. And we utilize our Medved Trader Clear Lines platform throughout the trading day. So that's kind of how the whole thing works. But I do research in the morning. I come in, and then I post into our, we have a blog. I post every morning the poppers and droppers for the day. And that's only for our members. Our subscribers get access to this. But I've been doing this for almost 18 years, and so that's what I do. Good question. But yeah, I mean, it's just experience, looking for momentum. All right, any more questions, guys? If you have further questions, you're welcome to email me, kip@equity-alerts.com. kip@equity-alerts.com. And I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this session will be posted to our YouTube page. You can get that at the Equity-Alerts website. Click on the YouTube link. And have a great evening, everyone. I will be back on Thursday again for this session at 3 o'clock Eastern. And those of you that are in my Equity Alerts, I'll see you guys in the morning. Good night, all.